watch the news each night, I feel a growing sense of hopelessness, and I find I have a growing sense of helplessness. I see political squabbling, backstabbing, and histrionics that make 7th grade girls proud. There's growing animosity in our country, based on wealth, religion, and race. Rather than thinking of America as a giant melting pot, I think of my country as a giant hand-stitched quilt. If America is a quilt, what is happening to the stitching that held the various patches together through the last 2 centuries? Employment is at the lowest level in 30 years, and last year, more children were born as single moms than married moms. So statistically, not only am I lazy, unemployed, dependent on the government, I will also end up single and pregnant. That is what the news is telling me. The quilt is coming apart in the wash, due to lack of proper care and shoddy workmanship, it seems. Is this really our future? Are our best days behind us with only trite political rhetoric instead of real freedom and economic opportunity? Are we really unraveling and going to end up as discarded pieces of fabric on history's garbage pile? What has always made America exceptional is our expectation of personal freedom and economic opportunity. I agree with President Ronald Reagan when he says, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. I am the new generation that must fight to maintain this promise of opportunity. I expect to be free to pursue my opportunities and successes, a foundational expectation if we are to see our best days ahead of us." So, today I want to talk about how the pieces of our quilt came together, how the shape of that quilt has changed as we've used it, and what we can do right now to make sure our chances of opportunities stay intact. We can begin to rebuild the quilt called America, built on the oldest of our patterns, freedom. To the founding generations and their colonial forefathers, freedom had a specific and particular meaning. To those old Americans, freedom simply meant unimpaired economic opportunity and the freedom to keep what you work for. I would argue that this idea of freedom to pursue prosperity still underlies most of our definitions of freedom today. Do not separate text from historical background. If you do, you will have perverted and subverted the Constitution, which can only end in a distorted, bastardized form of illegitimate government. James Madison, who wrote that warning, was a mover and shaker for the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and he was America's 4th president. To put his statement into context, we have to look at the experiences of the writers. The American colonies during the time of the Revolution was one of the most diverse regions on earth. Europeans, Native Americans, and Africans of every religious brand, language, and political persuasion lived uneasily and unequally side by side. So when we found ourselves in a place we never expected, winning the revolution and free, we as individuals were faced with a dilemma. What kind of government will leave us the freest of individuals while still having enough power to protect our property and opportunity? That was 220 years ago. As I watch the news each night, I have to wonder what is happening in America. It seems like people are almost viciously tearing the quilt out of each other's hands. It is amazing what we are willing to ask our government to do for us today. And that means what I'm willing to ask my government to force my neighbor to do for me. To ask government to right any wrongs, we have to surrender freedom. It is the nature of the beast. And we never get those freedoms back. Also the nature of the beast. Historically, our government always grew in power at the expense of individual freedom and opportunity during times of war. In the War of 1812, we started drafting people to fight. Then, after the Civil War, it became easier and easier to change laws, repealing some and implementing others. Sometimes the changes enlarged our freedom, such as the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, that right the horrible wrongs of slavery and set in motion a much more difficult task of eroding racist prejudices. Then the 17th Amendment gave women the right to vote. And something else extended that right to 18-year-olds. Then the 27th gave us all the right to pay income taxes. There is a dark side to all these great equalizing endeavors. For the millions that were helped, we have created thousands who were destroyed. We now have 5th and 6th generations of people who receive as their right all of these benefits, who believe it is their right and who will vote to continue these rights, regardless of who the money is being taken from to fund them. I know this is going to go bad. Since 2008, over 8 million Americans have lost their jobs. That is 8 million households, 8 million families. Last year, Americans spent longer looking for jobs than ever before. Long-term unemployment is the worst since the Great Depression. Over 46 million Americans are now living in poverty and are now on food stamps, both records. Our national debt is the greatest since World War II. Each American share of the national debt stands at $50,000. Soon, it seems I may merely be an employee of the government, paying last generation's bill for a quilt that is falling apart. So, what does the quilt of independence and opportunity look like today? Over the past century, we have gone from working for ourselves to working for others. We now work 4 to 5 months out of the year to fund government programs at all levels. Our jobs, our homes, and our livelihood today look nothing like the patches from the old American quilt, and we have yet to stitch anything new to replace it. Nelson Mandela, a great spokesman of our generation, has said, "Money won't create success. The freedom to earn it will." Mandela recognizes the importance of freedom as a prerequisite to freedom. I messed that up. Today, I want to talk about the 3 ways that I have discovered to make myself more independent. 1, I will get the best education I can. While getting this education, I will teach myself self-discipline, plan for the long term, but most importantly, I will do the best job at everything I do. If the business of America is business, then education will teach me to both produce good products, things of value, and to respect those using my product. 2, I will respect my neighbor. I don't have to love my neighbor, but as an American, I have to respect their say and their welfare. John Donne once said, "Ask not for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee." We have forgotten this, but I will live it. I will not give that responsibility to an inefficient and fickle government. My neighbors are my concern. 3rd, I will stay out of frivolous debt. I will not take out loans to pay for college, but I will save and work on good grades. I shop for clothes at Walmart, in spite of my friends making fun of me, and I save every penny I can, because that, in and of itself, is one of the most successful habits you can develop. Then, when the time comes and I will need a house or a car for necessary transportation, I will be in position to pay these now necessary loans off in a timely fashion. So I will develop habits that will lead to social and financial independence. I will show those critics of my generation what we can do. I do not want to be dependent, and the only thing I feel I'm entitled to from my government is respect. This is my personal American revolution, and I hope to inspire others by example. If enough of us follow this common sense approach, we can begin to restitch the American fabric. The Constitution doesn't guarantee happiness, only the pursuit of it. You have to catch up with it yourself. Thank you.